Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to episode Necromunda Hired Guns, your ultimate guide to the gritty underhive of Games Workshop's Necromunda. In this series we dive into the fascinating world of hanger-ons, brutes, and hired guns, so whether if you're a seasoned gang leader or just stepping into the dark corridors of Hive Primus for the very first time, our in-depth analysis will help you to master these valuable assets and allies. And on today's video we're taking a look at 3 unique hanger-ons that are available to your gangs. We call these guys the Merchants of Death. We have the Bullet Merchant, who is a merchant of course who slings ammunition for your gangs. We have the Tech Merchant, which makes it easier for you to acquire high technology for your gang. And then lastly we have the Underhive Traders, which came out in the book of the Outcast, which to give you a bevy of different types of goods and services that you can use to dominate in your next campaign. Now because this video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So that being said, let's make some money and let's talk about the Merchants of Death. The Bullet Merchant. Every gang needs a good Bullet Merchant. While an ammo jack can see the gang's weapons, they are not true connoisseurs of calibers. A Bullet Merchant deals in all kinds of ammunition, whether it's stub rounds, plasma flasks, or bolt shells, providing underhivers with the best stock available, often dug out fresh from the corpse of some unfortunate ganger. So let's talk about the Bullet Merchant, which is going to be the very first hanger-on we're going to talk about in this video. Now the Bullet Merchant costs 75 credits for most gangs, but if you're a House or Lot gang, however, you can recruit this hanger-on for 25 credits, and you can have a maximum of one of these Bullet Merchants. Now when it comes to characteristics, they got a 5-inch wound allowance, 5+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack. They have 8 leadership, cool, and willpower, as well as a 6+ intelligence. Now when it comes to their characteristics, they're pretty much on par with most juvie level fighters for most gangs, so nothing spectacular there. However though, they do have a 6+ intelligence, which is actually quite nice. When it comes to the skill, they do have the fast shot ability, which means that shooting does not become a basic action for them any longer. It is a simple action, so as long as they don't move, they can actually fire twice with their weapons. And speaking of the weapons, they have a choice between an auto pistol or a stub gun, which are pretty decent enough by themselves. But the nice part about those, they got a single additional ammo for that weapon, so they could take man-stopper rounds for the auto pistol, and same thing with static and warp rounds, or they could take dum-dum rounds for the stub gun, as well as static and warp rounds for those weapons, which is actually quite good. So if you want to bring something like that extra, like warp rounds for example, you could actually do that and be a lot of fun for you to try that out as well. Now the main reason why you're taking the Bullet Merchant isn't for their skills, their war gear, or their characteristics. You're really taking them for their special rule, which is called the High Caliber Hookup Special Rule. And what that basically means that all ammo types, no matter what it is, automatically counts as being common, which is extremely useful for you. And same thing with replacing any ammo types as well. So instead of actually having the limited trait attached to ammunition, you get the scarce trait instead. Now, why is that a big deal? The reason why is because, for example, if you're to buy dum-dum rounds for a stub gun, the moment that you roll an ammo check and you fail that ammo check for that stub gun, the limited rule kicks in, which means the only way you can get more dum-dum rounds for that stub gun is by paying additional 5 credits to get ammunition for it. You got to rebuy that limited weapons ammunition with that limited keyword involved with it. So instead of actually doing that, it just means it's scarce, which means add ammo for that continuous rest of that battle, and you just re-up the next time you go through. You don't have to pay any additional cost in order to get those ammo, which could be really useful, especially using things like static rounds or warp rounds, for example. That could be really useful for your gang as well. Now when it comes to this special rule, what you got to remember is that a lot of weapon attachments, and more specifically ammo, is often one of the most slept upon upgrades in the game. A lot of people want to get newer weapons or better weapons, but weapon attachments, and more specifically ammunition, can give you a whole variety of different things you can use for those weapons for. So things like plant buster ammunition, for example, you could use phosphor rounds, all kinds of different things you could use to upgrade your weapons. Now, our overall thought of this character, it kind of depends on how you want to play your campaign. If you're playing in a campaign where different types of ammo rounds could be very useful for you, so for example, let's say you're taking out in the bad zones quite a bit, then this could actually be a very useful upgrade for your game, because getting that ammunition could really help you out for the most part. The only problem though is that for most gangs, it's kind of like a risk-benefit kind of situation, because these guys do cost 75 credits, and they also take up a slot for when you're hanger-on, so that may kind of a bit of a problem for most gangs. If you're an Orlok gang, for the cheap price 25 credits, you're pretty much better off just getting this guy in order to help you out. So it kind of depends upon the campaign that you're playing at. For example, if you're playing in a Hive Secundus campaign, the Bullet Merchant can be extremely useful, because that way you can get more ammunition and better weapons for you to fight against your enemies in the Underhells, because of how hard it is to get materials from the trading post. That could be one reason why I take them as well. Another nice thing about the Bullet Merchant as well is that there is no official miniature for this character out yet, so because of that, you can 3D print, proxy, use whatever you want to represent your Bullet Merchant, so that way if you play in a campaign where it's WYSIWYG, that's not going to be much of an issue for you. So now that we're done talking about the Bullet Merchant, let's talk about its cousin, the Tech Merchant. The Tech Merchant. Throughout the Underhive, there are men and women who deal exclusively in technology. Often they set up tech bazaars in towns and homesteads, peddling their wares while purporting to know exactly what secret functions they hold. And some aren't even lying. Some gangs will hire out tech merchants so as to have better access to the tech bazaar or to help sell archaeotech finds. So, the Tech Merchant. The Tech Merchant costs 80 credits for most gangs to recruit within their hanger-ons. However, though, if you are a Vansar gang, it only costs 40 credits. You can actually take anywhere between 0 to 1 of these guys in your gang as well. So let's talk about the characteristics real quick. So they got a 5-inch wind allowance, 5+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill. They have 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 8 leadership, cool, willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. So when it comes to their characteristics, they're pretty much on par with most juvie level fighters from most gangs, except for that 6+ intelligence, which is quite nice. Now for their skills, they have the munition senior skill, which is always helpful because to be able to re-roll filled ammo rolls is always a nice thing to have no matter what the situation is, so that's a pretty good skill there. And when it comes to their war gear, they can either take a mastercrafted last pistol or a mastercrafted last subcarbine. Personally, I like the last subcarbine more because it still has the sidearm trait like the last pistol, except it has a higher rate of fire. And that's the reason why I like the last subcarbine. But at the end of the day, it's kind of up to you which one you want to use. Plus that mastercrafted ability is quite nice because once per battle you can re-roll a failed hit roll, so it could all be kind of good things for you. Now when it comes to the Tech Merchant, their characteristics and their skills and weapons is not the reason why you take this character. The reason why you take on this hanger-on is because their special rule, specifically the Technobauble special rule, which reads that you reduce rarity and legality of all items by 2 to a minimum of 7+, and if this would cause an item to fall below 7+, it is considered a common item instead. So that part is quite nice because having that ability to reduce the rarity of value of different items can be really important for your gang. Same thing with the other rule, which is Friends in the Trade, which basically reads that after each battle, reduce the cost of a single item from the trading post or the black market by D3 times 10 credits. So that's another thing really being able to take anywhere between 10 to 30 credits off an item's cost could be really useful for you as well. Now, let's give our conclusion thoughts about this. So is the Tech Merchant kind of worth it? Well, it also mainly depends on what campaign you're playing in, for example. If you're just playing in the Underhive's campaign or in a Dominion campaign like always, or if you're playing on the Ash Waste, it might not be as valuable for you to take this character unless, of course, you want to have like reduced rarity values on items so that way you can get like some really big ticket items to help you out. Otherwise, he's really not worth it. Now, there is a flip side to this. If you're in Hive Secundus, however, where it's very, very difficult to get items from the trading post and from your starting lists, then this character becomes invaluable because they can drop the rarity values of those abilities for you to get those things, and they can make a lot of items common for you instead. And also, on top of that, they can reduce the cost of that item as well, so that could be extremely useful for you. So if you are going to the Underhill's campaign in Hive Secundus, this might be a hanger-on that you might want to take on as well. The only downside for the Tech Merchant really is 2 things. One, they take up one of your slots for one of your hanger-ons or brutes to put into your gang, so that is kind of risky. And the second thing is they are quite expensive for most gangs at 80 credits. And even Vansar gangs are actually quite pricey at 40 credits because Vansar already have access to some pretty powerful stuff already, so the ability to get other things may not be as important to you because you have a lot of good stuff in your house list already to begin with. So, like I said before, it kind of comes down to your personal preference because you could always default to the rule of cool. You just want to have the character because you just want to have the character. Another nice thing about this miniature as well is that there is no official miniature yet for the Tech Merchant. So if you're playing in a campaign where they're using WYSIWYG rules, which is an acronym that stands for what you see is what you get, you could use anything to represent your Tech Merchant because nothing official exists for that character yet. So that is kind of the trade-off for that. So now that we're done talking about the Tech Merchant, let's talk about the Underhive Trader next. Underhive Traders. Necromunda is a world built upon commerce. From the lowliest clanner to the lords of the spires, goods are bought, sold, or traded constantly. A canny trader can make their fortune if they know where to sell their wares, and the Underhive is often a rich source of customers, whether it is for cheap ammo, exotic pets, or even religious artifacts. So let's talk about the Underhive Trader. You can have up to 3 of these guys inside of your gang, and they cost 50 credits apiece. When it comes to their characteristics, they have 5-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill and ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 8 leadership, 7 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence. Now when it comes to the characteristics, they have pretty much average level ganger level type fighters for most gangs. Very much akin to most Orlok gunners, oddly enough, which is actually quite good for them. Now, when it comes to their equipment and their skills, it kind of depends upon which type of Underhive Trader you're actually taking. Pretty much, you've got 4 types you can choose from. We have Relic Mongers, Beast Wranglers, Gunsmiths, as well as Connected Traders. If you're a Relic Monger, you come with automatic with the Maul, which is nothing all that great. Beast Wranglers come with auto last pistols. Gunsmiths can take a bolt pistol, a stub pistol, and a shotgun. And then Connected Traders can take a mastercrafted long last gun. When it comes to their skills of course, Relic Mongers have the Fearsome skill, so that way your opponents can take a cool test, where they can actually willpower test before they can even charge them in close combat. We have Base Wranglers, it's got the Overseer skill. Gunsmith have the Marksman skill, and Connected Trader obviously stuff has the Savvy Trader skill, which means you get +1 roll on rarity rolls and minus 20 credits from the value to purchase that item as well. Now let's talk about their special rules and why you want to take these characters for the most part. First of all, we got the Finest Merchandise, which means they can make a trade action post-battle sequence in the same way as a leader, which is quite good. So if you run into a situation where your leader actually can't make a trade action, your Underhive Traders can do that for you, which could be quite useful. Now we have what's called the Specialist Product Special Rule, and that applies to whatever you decide to choose for your different Underhive Trader. You could take 1 Relic Monger, 1 Beast Wrangler, up to 3 Gunsmiths, and up to 3 Connected Traders, depending on which kind you want in order for your gang. Now for your Relic Monger, that basically means that once per battle, a friendly fighter can roll a 6+ to ignore a seriously injured or out of action result. So if you're trying to take a lot of different type of casualties coming your way, this could be a good way to kind of balance out against that. For Beast Wrangler, you get 1 additional experience points for exotic beasts in your gang each week. So if you have a lot of exotic beasts in your gang, this could be a great way to level up those creatures for your gang. The Gunsmith reads that once per boss battle sequence, you can upgrade a purchase range weapon to a mastercrafted weapon for free, which could be really, really good. Having the ability to make anything mastercrafted once per battle, I mean, that is absolutely fantastic, and that'd be a great way to equip your gang with some really powerful abilities as well. And then of course we have the Connected Trader, which means that you double the credits when selling an item from the stash, which is once per battle sequence, which could be kind of good. So you can capture a lot of different things and sell those things, and also, you know, get those items back. And you can also freely trade credits and items in the stash with other gangs, and that's of course allowing you to be able to do that. More often than not, the only time that players actually trade amongst themselves is if there's a situation where they're doing like a rescue mission type of deal where you're holding someone for ransom. But other than that, though, there are no real rules to govern whether players can, you know, trade amongst themselves. Well, the Connected Trade allows you to do that, which could be kind of cool because you could actually make your own little economy in your campaign system and actually have your players actually get more involved in the economics of that campaign setting, which could be quite cool. Now for my concluding thoughts, for 50 credits, you can always guarantee a trade action for your gang, which is quite good, and that's even if your leader gets taken out of action or as a recovery, so being able to do that could be quite helpful. In my opinion, I think the Gunsmith makes the best trader to choose from because you get that free master crafted weapon upgrade at each post-battle trade, which would be quite good. However, though, having a Relic Monger is quite useful, getting that 6 of ward save once per battle against serious injury or out of action results. That is always useful. Beast Wrangler could also be good, depending if you have a lot of exotic beasts in your gang, and not to mention just the Connected Trader themselves is just an overall good general purpose guy to have as well. And these guys do cost 50 credits. They're a little pricey, but you can have up to 3 of these guys if you want to, and you can make a little mixture of everything that you want. So it's just kind of like an option that's out there for you. The only downside to this particular hanger-on is that they do have an official forge roll miniatures for these guys, so you could run into a situation where your campaign arbitrator wants you to use the official miniatures only for the campaign, and if that does come into effect, it could be kind of a hindrance for you. That's quite rare, but you know, it's still out there, so this might be something you might be aware of. So there you guys go. In the end, these hanger-ons have some really cool abilities with some really awesome rules attached to your gangs as well. And when it comes to hanger-on, it's always a tactical and strategic choice to decide which one you want to go with. At the end of the day, it's all about just having fun, so pick whatever hanger-on you think is the best one that you'll have the most fun with in your gang. Just go out there, experiment, and see exactly what it can do for you. I mean, there's only one way for you to find out if they're good for you or not. Now, while what you see and what you get might be a bit of a pain, for the most part, though, for most arbitrators, that's very rare that actually pops up. So feel free to 3D print, proxy, convert, or kit bash your very own version of these hanger-ons and use them in your gang and then try them out as well. And of course, if your arbitrator wants you to be WYSIWYG about it, probably find someone else to play with. I'm just kind of going with that one. So you guys have it. If you guys have any suggestions of some other hanger-ons, brutes, or higher guns you'd like to see on this channel, drop it down in the comments box down below. If I like your idea, I'll make a video about that one. So as always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is valuable to us as always. I am Commander Cheapskate. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out and stay classy.